and I want to thank you all so much for having me here tonight. I'm 24 years old, and I'm a cancer survivor. Though I'm ambivalent about using that word, since I'm still in chemotherapy. I write about my journey with cancer for the New York Times column, Life Interrupted. It's kind of like the movie Girl Interrupted, but instead of Angelina Jolie and Winona Ryder, it's just me talking about what it's like to have your life interrupted by cancer in your early 20s. This is the largest crowd I've ever spoken in front of. But rest assured, I did a practice run earlier today in front of my 4-month-old puppy. His response was to pee in the middle of the living room floor. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have big expectations from this audience. The inspiration for tonight's event and for Gabrielle's Angel Foundation is, of course, Gabrielle Rich Awad. In the past 2 years, Gabrielle has become my personal inspiration. When I first learned Gabrielle's story, I was struck by the many similarities between us, starting with our almost identical last names. Hers is Awad, and mine is Jaouad. That's J-A-O-U-A-D. Cancer's scary, but there's real fear in the eyes of English speakers when they are forced to pronounce 4 vowels in a row. I'm sure Gabrielle can relate. But the similarities between Gabrielle and me don't stop there. We both went to school in Switzerland, share a love of film, fashion, and foreign languages, and we both had long, wavy brown hair. But we also share a terrible disease, and the fact that we were both diagnosed with cancer in our early 20s. I like to think that if she were alive today, we would be friends. I feel a deep connection to her and her family, and I couldn't be more honored to be here tonight, paying tribute to Gabrielle. But let me tell you briefly about my story, which when I tell it still feels like I'm watching a horror movie. In 2010, I had just graduated from Princeton with highest honors, signed my first lease on an apartment, and started my first job. Other than the occasional cold or flu, I'd never been sick before. After all, youth and health are supposed to go hand in hand. Disease is something that only happened to other people, older people. I certainly never expected to hear those 3 words, "You have cancer." I was just 22 years old. But I've always been accused of being an overachiever, and this is true for my cancer diagnosis. I had a high-risk type of blood cancer that is extremely rare for my age group. My doctors told me I had the 1-2 punch that is myelodysplastic syndrome and acute myeloid leukemia, the same disease that Susan Sontag and most recently Nora Ephron lost their lives to. But 182 days ago, I could never have dreamed that I would be standing up here tonight. 182 days ago, it was April 11th, 2012. There was nothing of note in the newspaper headlines that day. But in my world, everything was about to change. 182 days ago, I was a very sick young woman lying in a hospital bed in isolation. My hair was falling out in clumps, and I didn't know if I was going to survive the next few days, let alone the next evening. 182 days ago, I received a bone marrow transplant with my younger brother's healthy stem cells. I was full of fear and uncertainty, but there was also hope for the first time since my diagnosis. Hope that one day I might dream of a future, a time when I might be able to let my hair grow long and to go back to being that healthy, carefree young woman. This room is filled with accomplished CEOs, Grammy Award-winning artists, and brilliant doctors and researchers. But once you hear those three words, "You have cancer," we are all the same. Cancer is an equal opportunity affliction. It doesn't care who you are or what you do. With all of our differences, old or young, male or female, rich or poor, we are all survivors who are here on this earth for a short time. What matters is what we do to make the most of each day. I think it's easy to be discouraged by investing in cancer research. We don't always see the results firsthand. But I'm standing here before you tonight, having enrolled in several experimental clinical trials and having gone through one of the riskiest procedures that exists, a bone marrow transplant. I'm alive today because of a cancer community that cares and acts on its caring. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for the incredible advances in medicine made possible by organizations like Gabrielle's Angel Foundation. That dream I had back in the bone marrow transplant unit of a future without cancer has the possibility to become a reality. After almost 2 years of non-stop chemotherapy and a life-saving transplant, I can finally say that I am now cancer-free. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to have your support and to have the support of Gabrielle's Angel Foundation. I want to thank you all because just by being here tonight, you are making a difference. Thank you.
When Gabrielle was battling leukemia, she lapsed into a